Hello, World Tech Blitzers. It's a Littlefinger. Going to be doing a review here on the T-2020, which I just purchased today. A lot of Tier 8 Soviet heavy tanks. And this one comes with the bar set really, really low. You know, everyone was talking about it late last year as being one of the worst tanks in the game. But as a collector, I felt the need to go ahead and purchase it, and I've played 5 games in it now. Hopefully that's enough to give you a good taste of what this tank is all about. Just to set the record straight, it's currently for sale for 7,000 gold. The Object 252U, which has been in the store several times, sells for 1,500 more and is a better tank. Just flat out, it's better. The Emil 1951 is still selling for 12,500, primarily because it's the first time it has been for sale for gold. So that gives you a comparison of 3 Tier 8 heavy tanks. Um, so what's good about the tank? Its armor, hull armor is good. Turret armor not so good. The gun is in line with the rest of the tanks. It does have some good top speed. Apart from that, you know, it is just your average Tier 8 heavy tank. So while we're here, let's just run into the consumables, repair kit, multi-purpose, and adrenaline. Provisions, you'll see I'm running extra combat, improved fuel, and standard fuel. I'm running standard fuel just because the tank does not have a good traverse speed. Terrain resistance is not good. Power to weight ratio is not good. It feels sluggish, so I'm doing what I can to give it a little bit more speed. Running 23, 11, and 6 with heat, which is obviously not my favorite premium, but making sure we're buying that with credits, not gold. As far as equipment goes, calibrated shells. Pen on this, I suffered even against you know, some Tier 8 German heavies, the Mauschen, etc. Some of the Tier 9 E75s and whatnot. So had to run calibrated just to be able to use APCR most of the time. Defense system, improved optics, enhanced gun lane drive. I'm running enhanced armor right now. I might switch this over and get those additional 100 hit points a little bit later, but I just wanted to see what that looked and felt like with the enhanced armor. Engine accelerator, vertical stabilizer. Yeah, I find myself shooting on the move a good bit with this tank. Enhanced tracks. After the first few games, my tracks were getting knocked off just about every shot. So I went over to enhanced tracks. Seems to have improved that. And then consumable delivery system. So just a few things I wanted to point out using Blitz stars here, T-2020 on the left, and these are the very similar tanks. I would say 252U and the Glacials are better tanks. And I wanted to throw the Emil, this is a tech tree variant, in here just for a good comparison. So 1893 damage per minute. You know, it's not bad. Pen is in line with the rest of these tanks, 400 alpha. What I do want to point out is you've got 1400 shell velocity. Means you can hit moving targets a little bit easier, and you can actually, you know, stay a little bit further back on the map, and still maintain a decent penetration over distance. Your aim time here at 2.63 and dispersion at 0.389. It's what we expect, but you know, it's actually better than these other Soviet heavy tanks. 6 degrees of gun depression. And here we are into the speed here. 40 kilometers per hour. It is faster than any of these other heavies once you get going. And I have to preface it that 13.25 is your power to weight ratio. So it's on the low end, which means, and you've got terrain resistance of 1.2, whereas like the Glacial only has a 1 terrain resistance. So it means it's going to take you a little bit longer to get up to that 40 kilometers per hour. But once you're moving, you know, it does have that nice top speed for a heavy tank. Camo, not great. The non-modified traverse speed, this is your rotational speed, 27. It's manageable. Credit coefficient 175, so you're going to make some good money on the tank. And this is where the rubber meets the road with this tank, and the shortcomings of it are here on your side and rear of your turret. When you compare this to what the Object 252U has, which is even lower profile, more rounded, more chances for bounces on the 252U. That's why I would say the 252U is almost dummy proof as far as a tank goes, because of the armor profile. You're going to get shot a lot in the turret with this T-2020, and you just can't hide a turret, unless you're staying hidden completely. So that to me is the biggest downfall of this tank. And we can see that here in the statistics, I think. 53% win rate versus 58 on the 252U and 55 on the Emil. Alright guys, here's Armor Inspector real quick, and as you can see, I've got this being shot at by a T-44, and there's just a little bit of green. Obviously this lower plate is your biggest weakness, but as we start to turn, you'll see that the turret there is the main weakness. You really have to be shooting down a pretty steep angle there for T-44. But what I wanted to point out here is if we switch over to an IS-3, for example, if we give up just the slightest bit of elevation to that tank, the whole hull becomes pennable. So really want to play this, on hills, using that 6 degrees of gun depression, hiding that lower plate. It can side scrape in a pinch, and we'll see that in one of my gameplays. But pike noses just aren't made for side scraping, because if you're hiding this behind a building, as soon as you pull back, all of the front of the hull is pennable. Now, warning, we'll go to the ISU here, and there's nothing you can do. So keep all of this in mind as you're playing the tank, as it's certainly not a frontline heavy, depending upon the situation on who you're facing. So I've played 5 games in it, and we'll talk through my strategy in playing the tank here in a second. Alright guys, here is my first ever battle in the T-2020. Yeah, this is skirmish mode. You can see we've only got a third or so of the map here to play on, but obviously it doesn't impact your statistics in the tank. And seeing as I wasn't sure what to expect or how to play the tank, thought I'd give this a go a couple times in skirmish mode, just to see how it plays out. We're bottom tier here. We've got an E75 and a Maushin, and that goes to what I was saying there. At this point in time, I was not running calibrated shells. Was running the gun rammer, trying to get the DPM up, but this game quickly changed my mind. And here we are, getting pretty fortunate here, quite honestly. Like I said in the Armor Inspector section, it's not a great side scraping tank, right? But when you've got a town map and you don't have hills, I mean, it's your best option. You can see we've already blocked over 1,000 damage. And we're not even coming close to penning the side of that Maushin at that angle. So we'll wait for some other people to pull on through. And we've taken, 4 shots, and none of them have penned us so far. But I will say all of them have hit us in the hull and not the turret. There we go. HE into the side of the Pantera there, and they're making a little bit of a push on our right. The E75 and I are holding steady. And so I'm going to leave the E75 over there to deal with the Maushin. And I was hoping to come in here and get some shots. And that is the Soviet gun right there. I probably could have been a little bit more patient, waited a little bit longer, and that shot would have gone in. And there's the example. I was aimed in, couldn't pen with APCR, switched over to HE and just let it fly, and that wasn't even going to be close to going in. So we're rushing a couple shots now, feeling a little bit of the pressure, but I still think we're in a good situation here. with how our tanks are circled around their tanks. Dropping another one into the Pantera. And so in a game like this, you don't really get a good feel for the speed or lack thereof on this tank. And we've done quite well in blocking. Getting our numbers up over 2,000 here, which is not bad for skirmish mode. We will get one into the back of the E-75 before he gets around. And then we'll see gun depression in action here. 6 degrees. And can we make it work? Yeah, barely. Barely. So, thought that was a good, not a bad game here to show to begin with. As bottom tier, we held our own. We did 2,800 damage, 88,000 credits there. We had a solid team here. Alright guys, Wintermalinovka here as top tier. Supremacy, 7v7. This one's going to count to our statistics. When I have a tank with limited gun depression, I don't like going up there on the way to the right up by that windmill. I prefer to stay a little bit more in the middle. I just find I struggle with the lack of gun depression, and you just have to poke too far around those corners, and it's it's very crowded. It's hard to side scrape, and just not fast enough here for this LTTB on the turret traverse speed. And of course he's gonna spot me up, and you got to believe that with him making that run from the lower to the upper, that they're gonna be up here. So our shot goes in low on the RHM as we try to hastily switch over to HE. Sometimes switching over just is not worth it. So we're looking for a spot here, and this is going to be difficult for me here at B because obviously I don't have that gun depression to peek up over this ridgeline. But, since we're here, I've got tanks on my left and my right. I'm quite in a flexible position, and I'll go ahead and cat B. Waiting for this RHM here to make a mistake. Oh, look at that gun depression. It's just not good. There you go. We get the HE that time. I was hoping to come up here and finish him off, but decided better of it seeing that IS-3 there. And you can see we had a little bit of elevation on him. We were shooting down into his hull, and there was no problem whatsoever penning that. RHM's not going to get away. We got 2 tanks left. Come on, IS-3, poke on out for me. Thank you very much. And we've got just the Action X left. Not worried about taking damage from him at this point in the game, so we'll just trade shots, and as he comes around the corner trying to get a second shot into us, the rest of my team comes in and cleans him up. So only 2k in damage there. 60,000 credits. Another solid team, evenly distributed that damage across the board. Don't see that too often. Alright guys, here we are, Port Bay. We know the drill on Port Bay. This map is 99% going right. So go ahead and get this tank in gear. And I don't know, I mean, I think right now I'm averaging 2,600 damage in the tank, which is okay, obviously for a tier 8. And I don't hate on this tank like everyone else has, and I don't know if that's because the bar was just set so low for me that I just did not have the expectations of it being a solid tank. But the accuracy has been better than I anticipated, as has being able to pen, and now that we've got the calibrated shells on. And I'm not too displeased with this tank. I don't, you know, comparing it to the Object 252U, it's not going to be a tank you pull out in tournaments, which then leads you to believe, well, why would you have the tank? And that's a difficult sell there, really, for me. I can't answer that question positively. So I really just believe that this is a collector's tank. Poor 252U. Yeah. He thought he was going to be able to pen us there. Not so much. He's trying to hide behind the VK, but that did not work. So now we're showing there, you know, being able to pen the right spots on the VK. Well, look at our team. We are all over here on this poor little VK. Although the IS-2, who did not come with us, is kind of hurting right now. So we'll circle on back now that the VK has been taken care of. And this is the painful part for me, the turning and the accelerating, especially when you want to get somewhere fast. This tank just isn't going to do it. Penning the front of the Panther there, I mean, that takes, you know, that takes a shot going where you aim it. On the side, not so much. You could hit it anywhere you want. So we got 2 kills, 2,300 damage. Only 3 tanks left. We got the STG up top, the IS-2's down here, and the Ferdy ends up being up there with the STG. And there's the Ferdy. The Ferdinand has some decent armor, and you watch here. We put that through that front plate there. STG's, I think he's given up and he's like, screw it, I'm just coming in here to get a kill. Ferdy's gonna get one into our engine deck here and set us on fire. Panther tracked him and we finish him off, and now we take one more from the Ferdy as we're trying to turn around. Knew this guy didn't have long, so I tried to rush a shot, aimed a little bit too low there. But as you can see, we did 3,300 damage here. Kind of in a bully situation where we were just in a good position to get the gun to be firing as much as we did. So again, you know, not horrible, but not a 252U. Alright guys, last game here. Almost Dwarf. Not one of my favorite maps. AT-15, EXP, VK, they've got some heavies here, so I would expect them to go heavy. But from what I've said so far, you know, I don't want to be frontline on with this tank. You know, I'd rather have that Emil up in front of me than anyone else in this battle. So I'm not going to be as aggressive. If I stay back here, I can flex around to the left. And turns out this happens to become a pretty decent spot to be in because they're all going to pile up here. And this EXP just keeps turning and giving us his side. And you get a good idea for the aiming on this tank here. So we're trying to focus on the EXP, trying to bait a shot. Just snap that in there. But we've got, what, 4 or 5 targets all back there, so we're going to drop adrenaline and see if we can't get some of these to go. There we go, side cheek of the EXP. Guy needs to be moving back and forth a lot faster than what he is, making this shot really, really difficult. Guess it went high. Our heavies on the right side are holding their own. No worries there. And we'll just time it for when he came back down the hill so that we could hit the top of his turret there. And I think he's gotten frustrated at this point in time, so we'll just throw a heat shot into there and finish him off. That's tough when you've got a tank that sits higher than what you're trying to hide behind. BK and AT, I didn't want them pushing on me here, so we're going to see what they do. And just missing our aim just a little bit there, just a little bit late hitting that fire button. So we'll push on around and try to get these more in a crossfire. They won't be able to face me and the heavies, but the heavies have now been taken out, so I'm gonna change ideas and try to push on around on the 2 Tigers here, because obviously they're not as strong of tanks. If we can take them out, you know, we gain some gun advantage. That one hit the sloped armor on the front of the target, but it was just a snapshot. AT's coming back around. So, I think, you know, from those several shots that you've seen in where we've had to hit small patches, the tank manages to hit the majority of them, which is the positive for me for this tank. That's always my big complaint here about... that was just bad. I wanted to hit the AT, and then just was lack of decision making. Missed out on the shot on the VK. But we'll get our 3rd kill there on the AT. But I guess what I was saying, you know, one of the things that does bother me about the heavy tanks is those who have the long reload, and you take the time to aim, and you know, for no fault of your own, dispersion's bad, shot goes off, and you have to wait all that time again for the long reload, which is, you know, why heavy tanks are not my favorite. I do prefer heavy tanks with more accurate guns, and I think this one does tend to fit the bill there. Wanted to call out this Mystic guy with his reroll, 228 battles. Lovely. Anyway, guys, so those are my thoughts, early thoughts on the T-2020. You know, I might re-review this after getting 20-30 battles under my belt, but for now, it's not horrible, but it's no 252U. I don't think you would want it in your collection for anything other than just to have a different tank to play. With that being said, it's probably not worth the price tag on it right now. So that's my 2 cents, guys. And I hope you're having fun out there. Remember, get educated, not fingered. Littlefinger out.